Hello, and welcome to season 6 of the Hardcore Soft Skills podcast. My name is Yadi Caro, and I'm a tech consultant and soft skills coach for teams and individuals. And in each episode of this podcast, I discuss a different essential skill. Today, we are talking about soft skills, an overview, and a bit of an origin story. If you are listening now, you probably know what soft skills are, of course, and you may have heard that these are quite important, that these are essential as multiple articles and research indicates. You can also be considering why the hell are they called soft skills if they are so important? What makes them soft? You may say we need to call them by other names like meta skills, essential skills, whatever else. I wanted to get some research done to get an idea of the origin of the term. And also, this research gives light into what are good ways to educate on soft skills. I say educate and not train because that in itself is also a debate. Can you learn these? Are you born with these skills? Are these trainable in the sense of how we train someone to operate a machine? So I found this report that actually offers some insights about the term. Not sure if this is the first time the term soft skills was used, but what I'm about to tell you is quite helpful to understand the future of training or educating on soft skills. So there was a series of papers from 1972 titled Soft Skills, Definition, Behavioral Model, Analysis, and Training Procedures. I know, very catchy title. And these were presented at a conference from the U.S. Continental Army Command, or CONARC, which, by the way, is now known as the U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command, TRADOC. And the role is of the organization TRADOC at CONARC, and CONARC before was pretty much the same, which is establishing doctrine and training for members of the U.S. Army. So CONARC had a soft skills training conference, and the authors Paul Whitmore and John P. Fry presented these papers to talk about designing a training for soft skills. First, they define soft skills as job-related skills involving actions affecting people and paper. Furthermore, they were considered important job-related skills, little or no interaction with a machine, and application was generalized because the situation or context required a great deal of uncertainty. And as an example of soft skills, they describe supervising personnel, interpreting what was on that paper or the map, identifying problems, resolving conflict, motivating people. One of the things that the research addressed was how we can train for those skills. Why train on soft skills? The main purpose of this training was to find ways to get individuals motivated for a job, get productive behaviors, and minimize counterproductive behaviors. While training on a hard skill was pretty straightforward, you can train someone on how to operate a machine, as the paper indicated. The approach that the authors proposed for training on soft skills was that they should involve active participation of the learner. For the skills that to be transferable, they must be used in active solving of training of problem solving, training problems. So instead of an instructor, you required a resource or a facilitator to consult with students on the best ways to solve a particular problem. The students were evaluated non-competitively. So the initial instruction did provide some basic frameworks and concepts, and students then put this into practice into their own methods. So that's what kind of the gist of what this particular paper described in terms of what were soft skills and how to get this particular approach of training on them, and the importance of including soft skills as part of a team composition. So what I find fascinating are a few things. First, definition of the term prevails, which is that soft skills are basically those things around a job that help us get our work done. As our papers, machines evolve, especially in an AI world, we need to ensure we cultivate those soft skills. Second is the realization that there is no cookie cutter approach to educate on soft skills. You probably read plenty on productivity, for example, but realize that there are some techniques that work for you and not others. The same way for communication, especially if you are an introvert. Or how about if I have a specific characteristic behavior due to attention deficit disorder, and task switching for me is extremely difficult. So there are many ways I can be agile and adaptable, but each approach to learn about a soft skills requires some tweaking. And third is, how does soft skills are taught? Traditional training is not applicable. You can read as many books on conflict resolution and negotiation as you'd like, but like any skill, it is only when we put them into practice that we actually know if we master them. Now, let me emphasize the importance of soft skills by just giving you an example. Let's say we have Steve and Jody, two engineers who work in the same team, and the level of technology of both individuals is pretty much the same. So Steve gets to the office, and let's say he is hot-tempered. If things are not working out that day, he makes sure everyone knows about the issue by cursing and other things. So he has pretty good humor, but sometimes it may get out of hand, pissing off a few people. When customers come in and ask questions, Steve seems bothered. He just wants to get his work done right, but he provides what he thinks is a response. And as the customer leaves, he may say, "Oh, this person asked the stupidest questions." During team reviews, Steve is not quite prepared to present and adds in lots of technical jargon, which shows how brilliant he is, but the customer leaves feeling quite dumb and uncertain. Let's say we have Jody, on the other hand, gets along with the team, says, "Hi, everyone," and off to do her work. When a customer stops by unannounced, she's not necessarily happy either because her work was interrupted, but she suggests the customer meeting at specific times and make sure questions are answered so the customer is equipped to get their work done. Jody is also receptive for feedback. No, she won't let you insult her work, but she seeks help so she can learn more about any particular thing. During team reviews, Jody makes sure she is prepared to give an overview of her work in simple terms. So an opportunity opened up for senior engineer, and both Steve and Jody wanted it. On paper, both meet all the criteria on the tech side they needed to know, but Jody was able to articulate why she is good for the job. We must say the hiring manager was already a little biased because for some reason, everyone enjoyed to work with Jody, and some people expressed concerns about Steve's attitude and temper. So guess who gets the job? Jody got the job, and by the way, she was able to negotiate a pretty good pay increase. So this is just an extreme example to help you illustrate that these are soft skills at play. Learning how to navigate conflict resolution, communicating effectively based on your audience, managing stress and productivity, especially in a team setting, and finally, negotiation. These are all things some people may have since they are born, but there are ways to ensure we acquire and use them. There is a technique, and each technique varies based on your own preference. Now, the debate about calling these soft versus other term may not be resolved in quite some time. What we can do, though, is find ways to call these out and give them the critical, important, the soft skills or essential skills deserve. So, thank you for listening today. And if you want to get a copy of the report I discussed earlier in the episode, sign up for my newsletter at hardcoresoftsskillspodcast.com.